So you are all very familiar with what Israel is currently doing. They have basically live streamed a genocide, 24/7 live stream of a genocide happening in Gaza. The world can see it. The world can hear it. I can't scroll through my social media any day and not see some kid that's dead underneath a bunch of rubble, or some grieving father who just lost a child, or some starving, malnourished person in Gaza. It is the horror of all horrors is right in front of our face, and seemingly the world is kind of yawning. Opinion polls have certainly moved, and people are sort of, they hate Israel now, which is the correct reaction, but also, like, the people with the power are still doing the terrible shit they're doing. The U.S. is still sending them money, still sending them weapons, and Netanyahu is still using the money and the weapons and doing mass atrocities on a daily fucking basis. And so, they are in the final stage of the final solution in Gaza. They have the fake aid sites that they've set up where they lure Palestinians there and then murder a lot of them. And ultimately the goal is kill as many as they can, and then whoever remains try to make a deal to ship those people to Libya or Egypt or Jordan or wherever will actually make a deal with them. And they want to steal all of Gaza. That's the idea. They want to steal all of Gaza, resettle all of Gaza. This is the process that's in the works. These are the programs that they're laying out right now. We also have in the West Bank, they're doing mission creep and trying to take over more and more territory. Syria, the Israeli government, many people don't talk about this, but the Israeli government has stolen large swaths of Syria since the Assad regime fell, and they were replaced by a guy who is the former leader of a branch of Al-Qaeda. He's now the new Syrian president. I use that term loosely because he's really a dictator. He wasn't fucking elected. But Israel has taken large swaths of Syria. So now they look really hell-bent on, bringing us a greater Israel. Like, they're still bombing Lebanon, still bombing Yemen, still bombing Syria, of course bombing Gaza on a daily basis, regular lynchings in the West Bank. They are bringing about a greater Israel scenario where they expand their territory massively. They increase settlements now, not only in the West Bank, but also in all of Gaza, parts of Syria, etc. And so, given the fact that the world has turned on Israel based off what everybody can plainly see with their eyes, even with the official media doing a pretty shitty job covering what's happening, there's still enough out there for the world to have turned on Israel. I mean, now the percentage of like Democratic voters who support Israel is like 17%. It's some preposterously low number, when it used to be a majority of Democrats sided more with Israel in the Israel-Palestine conflict than with Palestine. It used to be that. Now it's the exact opposite, and virtually every Democrat is like, obviously I'm on Palestine's side. So given all that, Netanyahu talks about he's going to open up the 8th front in the war. I'm not kidding. The 8th front in the war. Okay, well, what is that front? Please explain to us.
This is the 8th front. The disinformation campaign is humongous. It takes a second for a lie to circulate the world, and then you have to battle it with the only weapon you have, which is the truth. And truth is slower than lies and more difficult to ascertain because you have to get the facts. When you lie, you can say anything, and it's instantaneous. When you tell the truth, you have to ascertain the facts, and until you do that, in the electronic age, boy, that lie could encircle the earth, 1,000 times. So it's a handicap, but we'll fight the information war too. Basically, you have the weapon of truth. We just have to be more efficient at displaying this, and I think we have to shame the media that does this. I mean, I know you're sort of tepid and mild about that. You should continue with your passion to speak for the truth and to shame those who spread the lies. I don't see any other solution. Do you?
No.
First of all, that's the clearest example of psychological projection I've ever seen, where he talks about how, look, anybody could just lie and say anything, and then, it takes a while for the truth tellers to go out there and, like, set the record straight, and the lies already spread around the world before you can, like, address it. That's all true, but in the exact opposite of the way he means it. He means it like, oh, the pro-Palestine people are lying, and then the Israel people have to come in and set the record straight, and nothing could be further. All they do is rank propaganda and cover-ups every time there's an Israeli massacre. I remember when they pretended they didn't bomb the first hospital that they bombed. Remember that? There was this massive disinformation campaign where Israel supporters were like, actually, that was Hamas or like Palestinian Jihad or something, or Islamic Jihad that fired at their own hospital. There was a rocket that misfired or something. Meanwhile, they were like, we would never bomb a hospital. Fast forward to they bombed over 20 fucking hospitals, man. I mean, so he's guilty of the thing that he's pretending others are guilty of. That's point number one. But point number two is now he's saying, oh, we're opening up an eighth front on the war, and it's that we're going to wage a war on disinformation. What he means is we're going to wage a war on anybody who criticizes Israel. And as you know, there's been an attempt in the U.S. through Congress and to redefine anti-Semitism to include anti-Zionism as anti-Semitic. This is something that we've seen to portray all criticism of Israel as both anti-Semitic and de facto supporting Hamas and boosting Hamas. So it's like material support for terrorists. This is what we've seen. And so they have this in the U.S. They want to do this the world over, and they really want to clamp down and do this massive censorship campaign. And I really think that's what they're working on, and that's what's coming, is an attempt to really censor any and all truth. Really, I mean, they've already killed over 200 journalists in Gaza. And of course, they've worked hard to censor ones that are telling the truth elsewhere. And now I think it's all on the table. It's all fair game. They're going to come after pro-Palestine voices left and right, and they're going to try to rig the world's perception of them because they know they've failed, they know they've lost, they know the numbers have shifted, but there's no way they can just address it honestly and accurately. So what they have to do is just lie. What they have to do is just find a way to muzzle the people telling the truth and spread their propaganda with no consequences whatsoever. So they really have to cheat to win as opposed to, you know, fighting fairly, because they know you can't, there's not enough propaganda in the world you could do to explain away carpet bombing innocent people on a daily basis and starving people to death. There's nothing you could do. And so here we are, the eighth front. And by the way, we talk about a room I would not want to be in. Both Mark Levin and Netanyahu in a room together. That is a fucking whoo. That is like a nightmare right there. By the way, before I end this segment, I got to show you this. 20 countries, including China, are meeting in Bogota this coming week to declare concrete measures against Israel's violations of international law. The states due to take part in the summit include Algeria, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, China, Colombia, Cuba, Djibouti, Honduras, Indonesia, Ireland, Lebanon, Malaysia, Namibia, Nicaragua, Oman, Portugal, Spain, Qatar, Senegal, South Africa, Turkey, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Uruguay, and Palestine. So I hope something comes out of that that's tangible. I really do. I mean, we've said this before, but it shouldn't have to be the Houthis doing that blockade for Israel's ports. It should be the UN doing that shit. And you should be, I mean, Netanyahu should be arrested, Ben-Gvir should be arrested, Smotrich should be arrested. This isn't a question. If you actually give a shit about the law to any extent, you should want to do that, because at this point, we've destroyed the whole notion of international law. It doesn't even exist anymore because of what we've allowed Israel to do. And so I hope somebody does something to try to bring law back, because this is unacceptable. And I don't want to live in a world where might makes right and it's the law of the jungle. We need to get back to some sort of semblance of reason and sanity and treating other people with dignity. And we are so far away from that right now because of Israel. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.